So welcome to our November 2020 Park City Market Talk webinar. I'm Ron Wilstein, a broker at Keller Williams Luxury Properties here in Park City, Utah. And I'm especially excited about this month's webinar because we're going to be doing something different. We're going to do a Wilstein Team roundtable discussion, and we're going to discuss whether or not the current Park City real estate market is a boom or a bubble. But before we do this, since it is November, let's talk about when the Park City resorts will be opening for the 2021 ski and snowboard season. Park City Mountain is scheduled to open just a couple weeks from now, November 20th, and Deer Valley is scheduled to open on December 5th. Of course, both resorts will be opening with new COVID-19 protocols, and so we're going to be talking about that. I covered it in detail a couple months ago in a webinar, but if you want to get the latest update on the protocol, go to the epicpass.com website here. This is for the Park City Resort, and for Deer Valley, go to the deervalley.com address here. I did cover this in detail in the September Market Talk webinar, and if you want to watch it, go to BuyParkCity.com/webinars, and the top one left corner will be the September webinar to watch, so do check that out. Each month we typically go into the statistics of the Park City real estate market to update you, and we show you graphs like this, but today it's different. We're not going to do it this way today because we want to get to our roundtable discussion. So let me just show you how you can get to the statistics simply by going to our website. If you go to BuyParkCity.com, you'll be on our website. Let me get out of the way here. And what you'd want to do is you'd want to go up to the top here where it says Market Info. Click on that. That will take you to our Market Info page where we have our webinars, we have our statistics and our market data reports. Just go to Market Stats, click on that, and it will instantly take you to the market stats. You can see that graph here with that which you're used to seeing in our Market Talk webinars. Scroll down a little bit, you'll come to this section with the tabs, and you'll see the specific graphs that we use for each category, whether it's homes with a narrative to the left of each, and we cover the number of sales as well as the prices. You go to the condo tab, you get the current data for that. You go to the land tab, and then you go to the days on market. So all the stats that we normally cover in our monthly webinar are there. We're simply not going to take the time today's presentation to do it because we have a lot to talk about on our roundtable. So before we get into the roundtable, let me introduce the experts. In the upper left-hand corner is Doug Olmsted. He is a member of the team and he specializes in representing listings and sellers. Below him is Dean DeLeon, who is a buyer specialist for our team. And to the right is Jeremy Wilstein, and then above yours truly. Well, without further delay, let's get to our roundtable discussion. All right, guys, we're going to do another roundtable here. Update our listening audience, or viewing audience, I should say. So I'm glad you're joining us here. It is, what's today's date? Today's October 29th as a time reference. And we're, of course, going to be talking about the Park City real estate market and the impact that COVID-19 has had on the marketplace. So with that in mind, let me just begin by saying this. It's now about 7 months following the outbreak of a community spread in Park City. And let's just talk a little bit about how you would describe life in Park City these days.
My wife and I were just talking about this morning, and we kind of came up with the term COVID careful, but to be cautious not to use the word normal, I guess new normal. I mean, life is good in Park City. I think, restaurants are open, they social distance in restaurants, but they're remaining open. And near and dear to my heart is actually this fall, we even started seeing some of the bike races happen. So they took a lot of precautions, granted, but actually got a few of the last season bike races, which was key for me being a cyclist.
Nice. Yeah, I'd say this summer was pretty somewhat normal for me. I mean, like Doug, I spend a lot of time on my bike. Spend a lot of time hiking in the outdoors, and kind of the biggest difference, there's definitely a few more people on the trails, and there's definitely a number of more people in town. This month, October, is usually our slow season, and there's definitely a good amount of people. Some, I think, a lot of second home owners and people purchasing that have moved here more full time, and so we're definitely seeing that in the community. But yeah, pretty normal summer for me.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. Obviously, the first couple of months we were in quarantine. It was a little bit slower, but once we got back out and started moving along and getting back to business and businesses opening up, it's been very busy is what I'm recognizing. I did read an interesting article in the Park Record last week that mentioned that the city was projecting the sales tax projections to be $250,000 through the summer, where it was $890,000 in generation in 2019. The original projections being $250,000. We actually ended up being at $767,000, which is higher than the 5-year average, is right around $750,000 or $50,000, which goes to show that the town was busy and a lot of businesses were thriving.
Yeah, just driving around when the outbreak, of course, first happened, the roads were a ghost town. And that was weird, especially middle of the day. But I think we, for better or for worse, we have as much traffic, people on the roads as we've always had. It does seem like there's a lot more bikers and hikers out there, which is, a great way to get out there and enjoy it. And it certainly is attracting people to Park City. And so those of us who are locals kind of like the time off in between the ski season. We got it in a big way at the beginning of the outbreak, and then I think it's pretty much gone. I haven't hit the restaurants. I've been primarily picking up stuff and eating it at home and so forth, but, or hitting an outdoor patio restaurant. But yeah, otherwise things seem to be remarkably normal-ish, even though we're all very mindful, and Summit County, as we all know, masks are required. And I was looking at the Park Record the other day. We are still at, fortunately, in Summit County, only 1 death. So, if you have to be in the middle of a pandemic, I think Park City's a pretty good place to be. So let's shift from there as to life in Park City. Talk about the Park City real estate market. What's happening in the market?
Yeah, the market is strong, to put it lightly. Yeah, our inventory has shrunk. Our number of sales have increased dramatically. And the interesting thing that I've seen is it's not really based on, what's the market going to do? Am I getting a good deal? Is the rental income going to make sense? No, it's really all about lifestyle, and it's all about, moving to somewhere where there's more distance and getting out of the big cities. And that COVID has really driven the real estate market, and it's all about lifestyle as opposed to, am I getting the best deal? So as a result, we're seeing the mid to upper luxury market move very, very quickly, and just less inventory, which is causing prices to rise and rise.
Yeah, I'd say well said, Jeremy. The market, it is competitive. There's certain properties when they get listed, you're seeing multiple offers, but at the same time, you do see a little overzealous seller listing their properties higher. And most people that are being represented by their agents are knowledgeable of the area, understand that there is some urgency, and we are seeing appreciation and competition. But there is a little bit of buyer pushback when you see somebody listing their property a little too high. So it's just important to talk to your real estate agent about it. Ideally us, right? You watching that or watching this, and figure out where and what. But if you are ready to buy from a buyer's perspective, we would want to be on the same page and ready to pull the trigger if there's something specific that you're looking for.
Agreed. Yeah, market's robust. I would say since Memorial Day, we've been week after week outpacing the year prior on number of sales, number of pending sales. So the market is very robust indeed.
I've been here over 30 years. So I'm the old timer in this group. The pictures don't give it away, but it's true. But I've seen Park City go through highs and lows, and I can genuinely say in terms of the energy level and the activity level, any prior year up to this, 30 plus years, this is the most robust market we've ever had. We've had times where it slowed and mortgage crisis and this and that. We've recovery out of that. But as Jeremy, I think you said at the beginning of this, is people are making the decision to be here on the basis of lifestyle, not investment. And I'm struck by the fact that a lot of property owners who have very high-end properties in Park City, who frankly often only use them 2 weeks during the ski season, came out from wherever they came from, moved in during the summer, and are still staying here working remotely. And they're loving it because they've never been out here during the summer. So it's a totally different experience. And in the same fashion, people came from different places to come to Park City just through the summer to get by rented, and were kindly, politely told, hey, this is going into the winter rental season and the rates are going to go up like 3-4 times. And some of those people turned into buyers because they were so happy with their experience. So that's why we have kind of a real estate boom. And it really is pretty crazy. Now, one of the things that I'm hearing, and I suspect you guys are as well, from buyers in particular who are going, wow, this thing feels a bit out of control. There's multiple offers. I think this is a bubble. And when people talk about bubble, the first thing they start talking about, when is it going to pop? So let me just throw that out there and you guys share your thoughts on that.
Well, I think you have to just look at Park City is just a tier 1 resort town. We have Park City Mountain Resort, Deer Valley, other ski resorts within an hour drive of this fantastic airport that just got a $4 billion remodel, and they just opened up the second terminal and everything. So really, it's not a bubble. It's that the Park City has been undervalued. If you compare us to Vail, another tier 1 ski resort destination, you look at Vail and $1,000 a square foot, and you get an average property. For that here in Park City, you're going to have something that's going to likely have ski access or something like that. So it's that we're not in any bubble. We've just been undervalued, as far as I'm concerned. So, 30 minutes from the airport and you're skiing, you go to Vail and you drive 3.5 hours over that treacherous pass. So people are just discovering Park City. And so definitely not a bubble, just like I said, just been undervalued.
Yeah, and I think Utah itself, with our favorable state tax rate at 5%, that we're having a big move of tech companies moving from big markets into Utah for the favorable tax and then lower cost of living. And we're seeing, especially like I said, with the airport, the easy access. So if people need to commute back to the major cities to do some business, it's really not a big deal to be able to spend time here in Park City, move their family here, and then if they need to come back, they can just pop down to the airport. So, we talk about these bubbles and pop. I mean, there's a lot of cash in this market. There's a lot of, again, desire to be here over lifestyle, taking forefront to the actual investment of the real estate. So we've just seen a complete shift in how people are, I wouldn't even say investing in real estate, how they're buying lifestyle real estate, because it's just more important than anything else right now.
Yeah, and I think even before the COVID pandemic here and the boom that we've been seeing here in Park City, we were seeing big tech companies put corporate offices or regional offices in the Salt Lake Valley, prioritizing lifestyle to really recruit the top employees that are essentially millennials at this point, as far as age demographic goes, and who do prioritize their lifestyle over work, right? So you give them the ability to move to Utah, enjoy the outdoors, biking in the summer, skiing in the winter, boating, whatever it may be. People are prioritizing all of that and bring in the work from home aspect of things, which a lot of people that already live in Park City do work from home. and that becomes a little bit of a new normal, as I should say, or what were you calling it earlier, Doug? I like that.
COVID careful.
COVID careful, but that seems to be actually a new normal, as more people are going to be working from home, which gives you the ability to live where you want to live and enjoy your lifestyle while still getting your work done and being effective.
You know, I got asked the bubble question last week, and what I shared is, I said this. I said, you know, most people when they think about the bubble, they think about the tech bubble, and you know, momentum that's focused in technology or whatever it's focused in. The reason I don't perceive this as a bubble is, as some of you have already said, that this is more of a lifestyle change. And if somebody was following a fad, fads come and go, bubbles, you know, inflate and then they pop. But when people are making lifestyle choices and are saying, hey, I don't know how quickly we're going to get through this COVID outbreak here, and we're, depending upon who you talk to, we're still in the first phase, second phase, or even a third phase. But we all know the rates are going up, the cases are going up, not just in the US, but other places. So we just don't know exactly how this is going to end. We know they're working on treatments and vaccines, that's all going to help, et cetera, et cetera. But even if all of that worked perfectly, people have gotten a taste of Park City's lifestyle, and they're embracing it. And so I just don't see it as a bubble popping. There'll be a normal ebb and flow, but it's just not a bubble in the sense that people usually talk about a bubble. That's my take on that. So in light of that, in light of either the caution that some people afraid of a bubble might take as a buyer, to them rushing to beat out other offers, and sometimes full price, sometimes higher than full price, and we've seen that. We've seen 10-day closes. We've seen a lot of action here. Let's talk a little bit about how buyers and sellers are behaving in this market, what you're facing, and kind of the choices that are before them. What are they doing right? What are they, in your opinion, doing wrong in terms of this very fluid market when it comes to buying and selling Park City real estate?
In representing mostly buyers in this market this summer, I'm seeing a little bit of a mixed bag, to be honest with you. There is some fear that it is a bubble, and some people starting off at the beginning of the summer were hesitant to make the purchase, whether they're looking before, wanted to wait it out. I will say most of those people that I am working with they are upset with that decision because now they have seen what's happening, the activities that happen. But I'm also working with a lot of buyers that have been tracking the market and understand what's going on and do see the value. We've seen a lot of big corporations, big newspapers writing articles about the lifestyle in Park City and the reasons why people are moving to Park City or mountain towns. And they agree with all of that. So there are those people that are reasonable, understand, not saying the other people aren't reasonable. There's certain reasonable concerns there, but a little bit of a mixed bag. Some people do understand what's going on, are ready to pull the trigger, do understand the value in getting the property now as opposed to waiting for a month. And those that weren't before, typically in my experience, are coming around.
I know that when we're representing, Doug and I especially represent sellers, and we're negotiating against buyer's agents, and they're expressing, you know, the buyer's agents are trying to help their buyers buy for the lowest possible price, and we get it. But we're often, frankly, responding to buyer's agents and saying, you know, if your client isn't comfortable paying this price, we totally get it. But keep in mind that if some other buyer is comfortable, and let's say it's a condo in particular where, you know, there might be multiple units very, very similar. If we put together a deal at this higher price that you're resisting and it sells, it becomes the next comparable, and your client's going to be looking at the next price up from here, and they're struggling with this price. And, you know, we're very candid about that, and we've seen this happen enough times that we know it's true. It's not just a nice story to tell. And for some people, that makes sense to buyers, and they're pulled the trigger. It helps get them over the hump, and others aren't, and kind of finding out the hard way. But that's that's how we see this interchange between buyers and sellers.
Yeah, and I'd say, talking about the buyers, buyers behaving in this market, I have clients that are ready to go as soon as that property hits the market, or as me and Dean have been actively pursuing and finding, listings before they hit the market in order to give our clients a leg up on. And I think most of the buyers are realizing, yes, I need to act, I need to be ready, I need to go. And you still might not get the property, because there's other people out there looking. But the ones that have been successful are the ones that are ready with their pre-approval or their proof of funds. They recognize the market, they recognize where the market's going, and they're willing to pay, if the price is reasonable, full price, or maybe above that in order to secure it, because they understand that this market has legs and our inventory is low, and the next sale is going to, represent the next comp, and the next one's going to be higher. So then I have buyers that are, maybe they're a little weary about this so-called bubble, but when we have such low inventory and we have such a demand for lifestyle right now, I just don't see the market going down anytime soon, because people are prioritizing lifestyle. So buyers that are ready to go, they're getting properties, and we're doing everything in our power in order to give them the leg up. I think the wrong choice right now, if you want to buy in Park City, is waiting. Frankly, you're going to end up paying a lot more, and the property just might not be there. So if the right property is there, be ready, be willing to pay the price, maybe a little bit more, be ready to close quicker, and you will secure the property. You'll get that. So, and keep in mind too, there are properties that have been on the market that maybe they need some remodel, they might need some work, or wow, that one is really, really overpriced. We can still make offers on those properties. Just because the listing agent has it at a certain high price doesn't mean we can go after it at a lower price and probably secure it without the competition. So don't overlook the ones that seem, out of your price range, because we can maybe get those back down if we have market valuation.
All right. Well, the other thing I want to just mention is, since sellers are starting to see multiple offers, and not every seller is, not every property is selling instantly. We want to be realistic with you, but we can also look at a property and have a pretty good idea, both buyers agents and sellers agents, how quickly a property is going to sell and what it's going to be like. The negotiations when you get into a multiple offer situation is not just price. Price, the first thing people look at, but they're looking at, is it a cash buyer versus a finance deal? And if you're a buyer and you don't have the cash to, or you don't want to put it all into a purchase, you might be a little bit behind against the cash purchaser. In the same fashion, if you're borrowing, but you have a pre-approval and you can come in with all that with an offer, that helps you. So this positioning is really key. The other thing that I'm seeing is I am seeing some really fast closings being proposed, where that's the incentive. If it isn't price, sometimes it's a combination of all three. We did a deal in 10 days on a property that sold for more than there was past support for it to sell for. This is in the $1.5 million range. And we had multiple offers situation. Ultimately, the guy who got it paid the highest price, all cash, closed in 10 days, no contingencies. I mean, reviewed the title report, but didn't even do an inspection. Now that's the extreme, and most people wouldn't do that. But that was a really easy decision for that seller to choose which offer to take. So that I'm mentioning it because it's important if you're a buyer to know that you might be facing that, but there might be restrictions. Don't not put in an offer because that might be occurring, because how it gets presented goes a long way. In the same fashion, if you're a seller and you don't get that, don't be surprised either. We'll tell you the odds and we'll work really hard to get the outcome our clients want, but it's a pretty wild market. It still is. So anyway, any final advice? We're going to wrap up here. This has been very interesting and insightful, but any advice you want to throw out there for buyers or sellers as we wrap up?
Yeah, a little advice I'd put out there, and I kind of alluded to in the last question we had, but you know, if you're a buyer, don't be afraid of this market. Don't feel like, oh, you know, I'm not going to get anything. It's just too competitive. Because again, we can sometimes, if we know what you're looking for prior, please let us know the property. Please don't go silent on us, because if you're seriously looking, we will go out and actively try to find that property before it hits the market. And we've done this countless times, and we've gotten a leg up, and sometimes we can secure a deal and it doesn't even go to the market. So don't be discouraged if you feel like, you know, you're losing out on these other properties, because we can find an option and we can secure you into a property if you truly want to be here in Park City. And whether you're going to spend a little time here or you're going to move here full time, I mean, it's an amazing investment. I mean, it's incredible investment and a incredible place in the world to have a piece of property.
It is, and you know, if you have been considering selling for whatever reason, it's a great time to do that too. There's good, strong buyer demand. There's people who would really, really love to move here. Very low inventory, so very little competition for sellers today. So it's just a great time to be in the market and make a good deal.
And I'd say now more than ever, reach out to us. We could individually talk to you about your situation, let you know what's currently available to you, what we expect will become available in the near future, or where we need to start door knocking, so to speak, to what Jeremy was talking about and finding the right property. But reach out to us. We obviously love to talk to you about it and get you ready and help you complete your goals.
All right, excellent, guys. Hey, thanks for everybody participating in this, and for those of you who are watching this and listening to us, this is the Wilstein Team. We're here. We'll discuss anything on your mind and help in any way that we can. With the Park City Resorts about to open, with the first one being Park City Mountain on November 20th, let's go over the COVID-19 resort protocols. And again, I want to remind you that we did cover this in detail in our September Market Talk webinar. If you want to watch it, go to BuyParkCity.com/webinars. What I'm going to do here is just play some of the slides from that presentation. You can read them, or of course you can go to the websites for either resort that I posted earlier in this webinar. That in mind, let me wrap up by thanking you for watching today's webinar, and I hope these protocols will be helpful for you.